Moments after the light went out, she felt something strange, something she hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. She knew how much space he took up, knew how tall he was and how much he weighed. She knew about the calluses on his hands and the long, wide scar on his belly. She knew the circumference of his biceps and how his breath smelled of cigarettes and beer. Odd that she was thinking of escape when she'd given up so long ago. But maybe she'd been hibernating, unconsciously waiting for just the right moment, for the time when the universe tipped the scales in her favor, for the second when she had the advantage. She could see in the dark. Not in a mysterious way, but more like a naked mole rat that spent its life living in total darkness. After a while, the darkness was no longer a barrier. The man wore a taser on his left hip, an unfamiliar model, but the numerous times he'd used it on her had taught her everything she needed to know. In the darkness, in the darkest of darks, her mind calculated the distance, and she shot to her feet and lunged. Her hand unsnapped the holster and pulled the taser free. She hit the on button. The weapon powered up, making a whirring sound. She felt a rush of air against her face as the man made a grab for her. Like someone thrusting a sword, she aimed for what she hoped was his chest. The taser connected, and the man's throat emitted an involuntary gargling noise as he dropped to the floor and convulsed at her feet. She slipped past him, moving awkwardly forward until she made contact with the railing and the wooden stairs that led to ground level. She'd spent days and months listening to the way he walked across the floor above her head as he removed his holster, to the sound of the gun hitting the table. Arms outstretched, she stumbled blindly up the stairs. In the kitchen, her fingers sought the table and found what she was looking for. Abandoning the taser, she unsnapped the holster and pulled out the weapon. From the weight and shape, it felt like a .40 caliber Smith & Wesson, standard police issue. Behind her, footfalls pounded up the steps. No time to check the magazine. She steadied the gun with two hands, listened for the sound of movement coming from below, heard his crab-like scuffling and his ragged breathing, sensed his rage drawing nearer. She fired. 3 times, each pull of the trigger creating a spark in the darkness as hot, empty cartridges bounced over her bare feet, and the smell of gunpowder filled her nostrils. The man let out a grunt, and his body crashed down the stairs. Now I can go home. She turned, felt her way to the back door, and opened it. Winter. She hadn't expected winter. The cold took her breath away. Her mind screamed, "Run!" Instead, she forced herself to go back to the kitchen. A search of the coat rack next to the door turned up a heavy canvas jacket. She slipped it over her naked body, zipping it knee to throat, then tugged a stocking cap from one of the deep pockets and pulled it down over her wet hair. Everything smelled like the man, and an unexpected wave of sorrow washed over her. Had she done the right thing? Killing him? She shoved her feet into a pair of boots that were too big, stuffed the gun into her pocket, and ran from the building, never looking back. Home. To a different man. One whose name she couldn't recall. But his face. She remembered his face and his touch and his smile. The houses she passed were dark, and even the streetlights were out. No stars, no moon. Blackout. An explanation from her old life. She dragged her feet so the boots would stay on, not caring that her legs were numb from the cold. It felt good. Headlights illuminated the snow-banked street as a car approached from behind. She hugged the coat tighter and kept walking. The car stopped at the intersection, and she saw it was a taxi. She ran, caught up, opened the back door, and slipped inside. And then her mind stumbled. There were things she still understood from the old life. She knew she should somehow contact the police. She thought about telling the man behind the wheel about her escape, and yet she felt reluctant to engage, to share any of herself. All she could think about was getting home. The driver let out a choked sound of disgust, looked over his shoulder at her, and said, "Oh, hell no. Out. Get out. I don't..."